All right. Okay. Welcome. Let me go ahead and take this off. Okay. Oh my goodness. Zero Jimmy Pablo, and this is not your typical like regular live gameplay streaming. It's just a regular live because I'm not gonna be playing the games because we're gonna be witnessing everything of the origins of Halo and how it all started, including the Halo Legends show that shows you what happened in the early and days of the before Halo Reach and the fall of it. They were invading so many of these planets, the Covenant, and of course, I will be also showing you some sneak trailer. Now, due to copyright, I cannot show this, and now let me show you what I'm talking about as a starters. So, this is the one I'm gonna show you right now. I think I can leave captions on. Let me see. You can see this. So this is the one I cannot show you, but I am allowed to show the full trailer, but just not the movie, due to copyright and the fact that they don't want full movies to be free watching the entire thing. It's just because you have to get permission, and if you don't have those permissions, it's hard. Now, when it comes to like short films like Halo Legends that have been for years, they don't have any issues with it. Now, I'm not so sure how things work if they do take down a video. I have no idea, but I know for sure I'll get my video taken down if I put Halo 4 into Dawn the movie, so I will get that taken down. It's really long, and because it has actors and actresses and the whole visual, I can't be stealing any of the footage and showing it in here. But what I could do is show a trailer so you get idea what it is, but or rather than showing the entire movie, I cannot do it here. If you want to see the entire movie, you have to like watch it on the DVD or someone who has permission from the studios themselves because they still own the rights to it. So rather than that, yeah, that's all I could to say. And what's going on here? Give me a second. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I'm just like not able to move things. Like something went horribly wrong. Oh, come on. What's going on? Uh, we have technical difficulties. Sorry, individuals. I just didn't know that this was gonna happen. All right, here we go. So we're gonna start off with this one. This is the before the forerunners that leads to the Halo Legend series. There was these individual creatures, and these were the creators of the Forerunners. And I know there's no show about this, but there is someone who does talk about it and their origins of how they became to be. So let's not further wait and let's get right into this beginning era by someone who will talk about exactly what went down during these individual times. Because I know there's a lot of like questions of how the Halo universe began. So that's why I'm putting this up right now. So let me go ahead and mute myself. Oh, actually, you know what? I don't need to mute myself too much. I'll just uh I'll just put myself like this and then just watch it from there.
BCE, a creature was discovered by ancient. Around 106,000 BCE, a creature was discovered by ancient humanity on a small planetoid near the very edge of the galaxy. The creature was found to be hibernating within a stasis capsule of precursor design. The decision was made to move the creature within its capsule to the ancient human capital of Chatham Hakor, where effort was made to revive the creature. A time lock or temporal stasis field was placed upon the creature's capsule as a precautionary measure. Despite the advanced nature of the precursor technology, the ancient human researchers led by Prin Prakushma managed to find a way to communicate with the being. They would ask it questions in hope of gaining a greater understanding of the mysteries of the universe. In the vast majority of cases, the creature's responses were confused or unintelligible, revealing precious little information to the ancient humans. However, when asked about the nature of the flood, the creature spoke clearly and concisely. The answers it gave to the humans were so paradigm-shattering and so utterly horrific that many of the humans who heard the answer committed suicide.
Very early stages, how it all became to be.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00. This is Law and Theory, and today we explore a theory that may reveal what the primordials said to the ancient humans that was so horrific that many of them killed themselves. The theory was brought to my attention by Nonsensical Rants, a member of my Discord server, and it created waves across the server and got a lot of people very interested in the subject at hand. After being inspired by his post, I decided to build on it a little and present it to you for your decisions. These kinds of ideas and theories are very common in my Discord server, and it's full of epic people with awesome ideas about the deeper, darker aspects of Halo lore. So if you're into that kind of stuff, be sure to jump into the server and get involved. Link is in the description. So, what was it that the primordial told ancient humans that was so terrible, so disgusting that it drove these hyper-advanced humans to commit suicide? Well, in order to answer that, we need to recap on a few aspects of the ancient lore. Our story starts with the Precursors. The Precursors were an ancient, highly advanced race that originated outside of the Milky Way.
This is the important stuff you want to listen to. I wanted to cut this for a second. This is the story of how they were it all been created and how it came to existence, including the Forerunners. This is very important because it's going to lead to the TV show series of the Halo Legends. That's why I wanted to put this up, so individuals will know exactly where it all began.
And arrived in the galaxy billions of years ago. They were so advanced that they had achieved the Forerunner technological level of Tier 0, or Transcendent. The beings known as the Precursors arrived in the Milky Way galaxy as creators and caretakers billions of years ago, dreamers and makers whose minds transcended many realms. The Precursors seeded uncountable worlds with the building blocks of life, built cyclopean laboratories made of crystallized reality, forged roads through alternate dimensions to link their great works, and then began a grand experiment to create and uplift new sentient species. Their ultimate goal is unknowable, but the Precursors' actions were guided by the mantle of responsibility, a philosophy and set of ethical rules that compelled them to protect and preserve diversity of life ahead of their own self-interest. Before they vanished, the Precursors reshaped the galaxy with tools of metal, flesh, and energy that were linked across space and time using neural physics, a transcendent science incomprehensible to lesser minds. The Precursors sailed between worlds in vessels guided by knowledge engines, but also walked on star roads, bridges of unbreakable filaments that wove in and out of the deepest layers of slipspace. With boundless intellect and patience, millions of solar systems were re-engineered by the Precursors and populated with what would eventually, after eons of growth, tending, and evolution, become new tools and companions. The Precursors believed that the universe itself was an animate entity on a vastly different scale and nature than organic beings, the very foundation of neural physics. Through understanding and influencing this esoteric living aspect of space-time, the Precursors were able to manipulate reality and form virtually indestructible objects. In a notion echoed in the Forerunner concept of living time, they believed that all things experienced by life, good or ill, were only sweetness to the living universe. Consistent with these tenets, The precursors wished to experience the hardships and struggles faced by all life firsthand by committing themselves to numerous cycles of evolution, technological advancement, death, and rebirth over and over again. On a side note, keep in mind that the Forerunners inherited or forcibly stole their beliefs and the mantle of responsibility from the precursors, yet the precursors believed prosperity and suffering were equally acceptable and a sweetness to the living universe, while the Forerunners believed that all life should be protected and experience nothing but peace, even if it was an enforced imperial peace. So keep in mind these differences in their beliefs. When the Forerunners rose up against the precursors, despite being hugely more advanced than the Forerunners and capable of simply moving beyond their reach, they allowed huge swathes of their kind to be exterminated by the Forerunners.
Yeah, so if you probably realize what this means, the precursors created the Forerunners so they could take the mantle responsibility, but then what happened during that phase of the fight, they decided to, and this was like in many other videos because we don't have time to watch every single one of them. They decided that because the Foreigners were lacking of something or something they felt they didn't feel fit right, they dispose the Forerunners and decide to give the ancient humans the mantle of responsibility, which got the Forerunners mad that they decided to change the responsibility of the Forerunners to the ancient humans, so that decided the Foreigners took the mantle upon themselves to go to war with the precursors, and so these precursors are the reason why, you know, the events that took unfold of all their creations, including the extermination by their own creation. So everything I'm telling you right now happened because of the fact that the Forerunners felt jealous what the precursor were about to do to them. Basically toss them aside and leave them as not in command of anything, while the ancient humans that they created as well, the precursors did that, were going to be the ones taking that mantle instead of the Forerunners. So yes, there was an all-out war because of that. Can you believe that? Because of jealousy that they didn't want that to be towards the ancient humans. So that's exactly why we have what's happening right now with this situation.
Because the experience of this hardship and struggle was as important to the living universe as was times of joy and peace. So they served the universe these experiences through their own suffering to further the living universe's experience of existence. Whether they saw this living universe as a separate entity to be somewhat worshipped, or they had advanced to a state that the precursor and living universe were entangled and one and the same thing, or that the precursors were literally a physical manifestation of the living universe, is utterly unclear. But what is clear is that the precursors would do anything necessary to allow the living universe to continue to experience all of life's good and bad aspects. Anything experienced by a consciousness would ultimately benefit the living universe and enrich its experience.
Mm-hmm.
Following their defeat at the hands of the Forerunners over 10 million years ago, many of the remaining precursors transmuted themselves into organic particles. They broke themselves down spontaneously.
Now, before we get into this, I gotta say that most that were scared of the the precursors, they decided, hey, let me go ahead and try to hide myself into this little particle, because they thought it was the idea at the time that they could able to reform themselves back into physical form once the Foreigners couldn't find them. But then something after years of delay goes horribly wrong. And look, exactly, this is what we get into. Let me show you.
Into a powder or dust that would reconstitute their. Many of the remaining precursors transmuted themselves into organic particles. They broke themselves down spontaneously into a powder or dust that would reconstitute their original forms, themselves highly variable, at a later time. Over the millions of years that followed the precursor's fall, this powder degraded and became defective. Instead of reforming the precursors as they used to be, it instead resulted in misshapen life forms that ravenously assimilated biomatter they came into contact with, the earliest stages of the flood parasite.
So you're probably understanding why, we have the flood and why the flood looks like that. The precursors couldn't go to their physical form, and it messed up their entire, because it over the millions of years in that form, it started to mess up and started to get corrupted, which led to abomination happening, where you call the flood.
The flood eventually evolved into the forms we know of, their biology and method of reproduction making them utterly incompatible with any possible ecosystem. They infect, mutate, and absorb any biomass they come into contact with. The flood selectively targets species that possess sentient intelligence and are of sufficient biomass. Pod infectors use tendrils that pierce the skin of the host and find their way to the spinal cord. They then synchronize with the host's nervous system and gain control of their body. Any useful information present within the memory centers of the host's brain, such as battle strategies and technical knowledge, is retained for use by the flood. Despite this lingering of certain memories, no trace of the original mind remains. Only a simplistic and primal urge to assimilate other species drives the organism after infection. However, the entirety of the host's mental content is seemingly absorbed and added to the whole, as the grave mind has shown to be able to simulate its victim's consciousness within itself. In isolated cases, such as when the flood seek very specific information from an individual's mind, they utilize an alternate method of infestation that does not subdue the host's consciousness immediately, despite mutating their physical form. This allows the flood to burrow into the host's mind, eventually giving them access to the entire scope of the host's memories. This has only been specifically seen when the flood sought information from Captain Jacob Keyes, such as the location of Earth or a starship that could free them from Installation 04. Pursuant to their goals of assimilating life and absorbing knowledge and experience, the flood, in its more coordinated stage, would employ the use of misdirection, lies, deceit, manipulation. It would feign cooperation and work towards common goals, and even fight alongside beings it would normally have consumed or destroyed to further its own ideals. The ultimate endgame of the flood can thus far only be assumed and speculated upon. However, when you start looking at the flood as less of a parasite and more like what they actually are, or rather were, and then bring in the variable of the living universe, things begin to make an uncomfortable sense. So
Okay, so before we go into this, there is I forgot to actually type this in right now. I'm going to type it in. There is, I think, the origins of the Prometheans, so I gotta put, let me see if I could put it on. In story. So I'm gonna put this one on. I just gotta wait till it loads. This shows exactly the days that unfolded with the situation, because there was for ISIS, there was a war between the forerunners and the ancient humans. So this is the next one, and then we'll continue on that one, so you could see what's going on with it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, let me show you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00. It is nearly 10 years since the launch of Halo 4, and we have recently found out that the main antagonist of that game, the Didact, is to return in an upcoming novel written by Kelly Gay.
That's
For
important.
fans of the Didact, Katie, I'm looking at you, and his awesome presence and history, this is very exciting news indeed. His storyline is varied and bittersweet, the depths of his character intense, and he has been shaped by millennia upon millennia of combat, victories, losses and manipulations, and while his story ended in as a consequence of what is known as a brevet mutation, a big to refer to a confirmer, a mature warrior servant, onto the relatively blank slate of Shadow's pre-existing consciousness. As this brevet mutation took root, Shadow gained understanding and comprehension of the confirmer's immense combat knowledge, and made the move to the College of Strategic Defense of the Mantle to teach this immense knowledge to upcoming warrior servants, to better prepare and instruct the next generation of warriors with the supreme knowledge of the confirmer. It was at the War College that Shadow of Sundered Star gained his title as the Didact. The title was bestowed upon him by his students, who found him to be a strict and demanding teacher. The term Didact itself means to instruct or teach. Whilst not much is known of the Didact's career around this time, what is known is that he quickly moved through the ranks of the warrior servants and achieved the position of Protector of the Ecumene, the supreme commander of all military forces of the Forna Ecumene, a title that he would hold for 12,000 years. During his service, the Didact would begin a romantic relationship with another Promethean commander within the warrior servants, Endurance of Will, a powerful Promethean in her own right, and having received her brevet mutation from the Didact's teacher, Bitterness of the Vanquished, the two shared a history that ran deep. This relationship seemed on course to become a marriage. That is, of course, before the Didact met the life worker, First Light Weaves Living Song, the librarian. They met on Chatham Hakor, and in spite of the expectation to marry within one's own rate, Didact chose to marry the librarian and settled on the warrior servant world of Numdagro, in a mansion designed by the Didact himself in the age-old aesthetic of traditional warrior servant architecture, where they would raise several children, all of which would follow in Didact's footsteps and become warrior servants.
Here's the next one, the next phase. This is very important because those who don't know exactly what, if you've seen from the previous story, if you're watching, after the Prometheans and Forerunner War, which led to the Prometheans becoming corrupted, the ones that turned to dust particles, during the time the human Forerunner War happened, because of the fact that there were something that got corrupted, if you know the origins. And I know those who are probably confused, like, what are you talking about? Well, here's the reason why I have to do this. I know we have so many origins after origins. Oh my goodness. So, flood. I have to put so many origins so that you guys understand what led to the start of the whole thing. Let me see if I could find it. Let me see start. These are 90 years ago, 6 years ago. I think this one's it. Let me see. I'm about to find out because I know that there's a lot of things happening because you got to know these stories very carefully.
As individual flood supercells mutating in a host, and then eventually the larger airborne flood spores.
Okay,
Though
let's see
almost
this
any
one.
macroscopic life form can be infected, The goal is to find sentient life. And even though this simpler form of the Flood is not itself considered intelligent or sentient yet, it having a goal really is the right word to describe it, as all the studies by both humans and Forerunners show that even these simpler forms somehow actively seek out intelligent life, as nerves and cerebral tissue a dark. This is likely achieved because the concept would be to think of it as consciousness and energy itself as forms of matter, or vice versa. It's so esoteric that even the Forerunners never fully figured it out, and it allowed the Precursors one of their versions of faster-than-light travel, but also using thoughts to morph your environment, and literally the fabric of space was being altered. And so this telepathic central mind continues plotting to gather more biomass, while also gaining some new abilities. One is that it could alter radio signals. It's unknown how.
I think this is something else. I don't think this is it. I'm trying to find the beginning times. Let me see if this one's it. Okay, I think this one's it. Okay, this might be
In the now
it.
over 20-year-long history of the Halo franchise, veteran Halo fans would recognize that there is one enemy that stands out above all others, and that, of course, is the Flood. There is a mountain of resources that one could use to learn more about their history, but today I've done my very best to give you a summary from the very origins of the Flood all the way to the galaxy, which would give life to a number of intelligent life forms. Acting as architects, they went on to create a handful of hyper-intelligent species with the hopes that one day they might leave the responsibility and protection of our galaxy to just one of them. But when the species known as the Forerunners were deemed unworthy of inheriting this mantle of responsibility, they became enraged and declared war against their precursors. Completely taking them by surprise and overwhelming them with their ferocity, the Forerunners would commit a mass genocide of the precursor race.
There you go.
Almost completely pushing them to extinction. However, a handful of these precursors did survive and were able to flee to the edges of the galaxy and beyond. Not wanting to abandon their duties entirely, the precursors had hoped to wait out any future threats, and due to their species' unique abilities and advanced technologies, entered a state of suspended animation. In doing this, they turned themselves into a dust-like substance, which would remain undisturbed aboard their ships for millions of years, or until they deemed it safe to emerge again. However, over the millions of years following this transformation, the biological structure of this organic dust would degrade, and in turn became corrupted.
And that's what happened.
Around the year of 107,445 BCE, roughly 10 million years following the Forerunners' genocide, the ships which held the powdered remains of the surviving precursors would eventually begin to fail. After eons of neglect and use, their ships crashed onto the surface of a number of worlds, where species such as ancient humanity and their ally, the Sanshayum, would stumble upon the wreckage. Initially, they were unable to determine what exactly this substance was, but after careful analysis, they deemed the substance was indeed organic and also non-toxic. They also discovered that it could induce psychotropic effects when fed to lower animal species.
So this is where the infection truly began. The ancient humans had no idea what was going on, so they decided, hey, let's do some experiments and let's try to use these experiments to try to see what kind of effects it do to whatever it was, animals, pets, maybe some other animal species. And that's where the real horror actually truly started unfolding.
Such as the dog-like species known as the Feru. In the following years, they went on to distribute these corrupted precursor remains across their controlled space. However, it would go unrealized that this corrupted substance was beginning to alter the genome of those who consumed it. After several hundred centuries, species such as the Feru began to develop genetic abnormalities brought on by this precursor powder, which then over time jumped species to ancient humans. It had originally manifested as fleshy protrusions and furry growths, which other...
That does not look normal right there, you see. That is just completely unrecognizable. This is where their fatal error was truly begun from what we've seen from this.
Animals were compelled to consume, causing them to become sick and diseased themselves. Those exposed to these infected animals would also manifest these same symptoms, with any around them also unwillingly compelled to consume these diseased individuals. This shaping sickness began to change the host physically, reshaping their form almost entirely. These grotesque amalgamations of flesh and bone were designed to gather victims, engage in combat, or rapidly consume biomass and other valued resources. It was at this point that the flood infection was truly beginning to take shape, spreading across the galaxy at an alarming speed. In an attempt to prevent the flood from infecting the entire galaxy,
Yeah, so let me listen to
ancient
this.
humanity took it upon themselves to sterilize any world or ship that it touched, including those inhabited by the Forerunners. With no time for delay, Forthan Cho, commander of the human fleets, chose not to warn the Forerunners of this advancing flood, not wanting to risk it spreading further as a result of Forerunner expansion. However, the Forerunners interpreted humanity.
So here's where this comes through. Now we're gonna go back to this one. Let me show you something.
The relative peace that had befallen the Forerunners for many thousands of years was soon to end. Humanity, an advanced and combative cohabiting species of the galaxy, had begun aggressively expanding into Forerunner territory.
There you go.
For long had humanity held the Forerunners' dominion over the galaxy and involvement in the affairs of other species in contempt. Humanity's previous approach to the Forerunner Empire was to avoid it at all costs, even going so far as to expand their ever-growing empire away from Forerunner-controlled space, building an empire of 20,000 worlds across 1,000 systems, and allied with dozens of other species, including the immensely intelligent San Shayum, with whom they developed technology that easily rivaled that of the Forerunners in all but scale. Didact himself viewed humanity's military as the second greatest superpower in the galaxy and stood as a significant threat and rival to the Forerunners' sphere of influence. The recent aggressive expansion into Forerunner territory was looked upon as the arrogance and power of humanity finally boiling over to a flashpoint where all-out conflict between the two species was all but certain.
The reason for that and his thoughts, the didact, when he knew about this, was when you connect the dots, the flood was spreading across other worlds. This was not in the Forerunners territory, but it was in the human territory. How they got in connected with it is because they had nowhere else to go. The truth was, the ancient humans decided to invade the Forerunner territory is a hopes to escape the flood. So they're not only battling the flood from on their end, but they also at the front were now in war with the Forerunners, because the Forerunners saw this was an act of war when they realized, the individual was coming to and attack them. And so that's why you look at the key points that are very, very like aggravated on this. I think there is videos about this so that we won't just have to hear talking. That's why I'm trying to see if I could find any videos that can show something from the very beginning. And it shows like basically how it shows how the you see. Let me see. I think this is it. I think this is it.
Nothing will stand between us.
Lord of Admirals, we are in position over the Forerunner planet.
Show me.
I don't know if this is it, because this is the past of Halo. I'm trying to figure out if this is it, because there's one that shows a lot of the comparisons. It's taken me a while because I didn't really like know about this part of the lore until now. Trying to find it. Okay, I think this is it. All the terminals. I don't know if anybody could see this. It's kind of a little bit dark. This is like the days of the ancient humans and the forerunners fighting each other. That's what it was. So that's what it makes it look very, very scary. There's a bunch of lore here, but that's why I wanted to show this. This is when their war truly begun.
Our enemies move deeper into our territory with abandon. They must be eradicated.
Shall we take revenge? Abandon the mantle and all that its philosophy has given us these 1,000 generations?
All our plans have been torn asunder.
More reason not to abandon our beliefs. The mantle is our guidepost in times such as these. We must not falter in following its teachings. The enemy must be sent home and taught to stand with the galaxy rather than rail against us and take what they desire. The mantle shelters all.
Didact, you make a fair, if uncomfortable, point. You have my support. Librarian, will you likewise follow the mantle as the Didact suggests?
Yes, Master Builder.
So you get to the idea that now we're like in the moment of the Forerunner and human war that was going on with the ancient humans. That's where I'm playing this because it's very interesting to see this.
You're not angry at me.
We had this discussion a century ago.
Ah, so you are angry at me.
In the chambers, yes. But not now. You'll depart for Requiem soon?
At dawn. My Prometheans are already there.
Already there. You knew the Master Builder would side with you.
Should we step back inside the council chamber?
No. I would rather we spend our night out here. There will be fighting enough in the days ahead.
You can see how used to have their planets like in
My
Forerunner.
love, put fear from your heart.
War is your realm, Didact, not mine. And you marched to this war, facing foes that, while always aggressive, were never so aggressive as they are now.
Your fears are unfounded. The enemy will be turned, and I shall stand by your side once more.
Promise me that.
I promise you. Nothing will stand between us.
Lord of Admirals, we are in position over the Forerunner planet.
Show me.
Population numbering over 2 billion. Forerunner ships on alert and inbound.
Is it possible? Have we gotten ahead of it?
Flood infestation detected, my lord.
So you understand what he saw from the previous lore. The flood already were infecting worlds because they got out of control. Because most of them landed in those planets, so they were spreading rapidly, and the foreigners had no idea what was going on. Why the ancient humans knew exactly what they were doing, and they knew why they were doing it from their respective.
Damn it!
My lord, the infestation is in a remote locale. Perhaps if we warn the Forerunners?
If we warn them, we give the flood time to spread. You know we have no choice. Cleanse the planet.
So you get the idea. What I'm trying to show you is these were times that the things like that were going on, and the foreigner had no idea what exactly led to the events but unfolded, but it was really like you could tell how diresome this was truly was for the ancient humans, knowing that the foreigners had no idea what the enemy that was scooting next after them. So that's the reason why, they're doing their best to try to survive.
The humans' actions threaten the galaxy, yet we have treated them as the mantle required. Their punishment is just.
Justice is reducing their genetics in such short generations from a spacefaring race to this?
They are closer now to the animals they behaved as.
If not for their encounter with the Flood, their gene plan could have surpassed our own. They could have someday held the mantle of responsibility.
The humans were not meant to protect others. The mantle of responsibility for all things is ours, and ours alone.
Yes, the mantle is ours. And we hold it so tight that even in death we shall hold it still.
So you're seeing the beginning days where the foreigners had no idea what they're about to encounter, because most of the humans were losing the foreigner and human wars. So this is their first days of them not knowing what exactly is going on. So yeah, the days aren't getting numbered, you could tell. This is their first encounter. And then this is the moment they captured the final vessels of the ancient humans. And the reason I say that is because this thing was going on for so long, and they really realized something else was at play here. But let me see if I could find anything that has to do with probably like this one right here.
Humanity's actions as aggression, and so began the Human Forerunner War. Because of this, humanity was now fighting a two-sided front against both the Forerunners and the Flood.
Yes.
Once humanity began to show signs of wear from the Forerunners' response, the Flood pulled its attention away from them, focusing all of their efforts on the Forerunners. As it seemed their spread was beginning to reach a halt, the Flood decided to retreat to the edges of the galaxy and regroup, leaving humanity to the full force of the Forerunners' wrath. The disappearance of the Flood quickly allowed the Forerunners to regain the upper hand in the Human Forerunner War, and after years of combating the Flood, the Forerunners, and from the betrayal of their allies, the Sanchayum, humanity had been pushed to their limit. And after the siege of their capital world, Cher-Makor, they had lost the war. And as reparations for their actions, humanity would be devolved to an ancestral primitive state. The Forerunners would then go on to erase the history of their achievements from the galaxy, and then exile the species to their homeworld of Erde Tyrene, or as we know it, Earth. Here they would live under the watchful eye of the Forerunners, as well as the life worker, the Librarian, who saw much potential in them. After Cher-Makor had been seized by the Forerunners, it was discovered that the humans had been holding prisoner a being known as the Primordial. This being was the last known living precursor in existence.
Yes, and now we can go to this story to understand what exactly had in the conversation of that. But before we do that, let's watch one more episode. This one's very interesting, because it shows you exactly what happened to the ancient humans that were captured.
Lord of Admirals, so very many years have we battled. My finest opponents. The mantle accepts all who live fiercely, who defend their young, build and struggle, and grow. And even those who dominate, as humans have dominated, cruelly and without wisdom. But for all of us, there is a time like this.
give that order himself. He knew why, because he knew that there was something else that was gonna destroy them all. So
is now.
So he accepted the defeat by the foreigners because he knew that this was the better way to go down than actually being consumed by known as the flood that was way worser than these individuals. That's exactly what went down.
Know this, relentless enemy, killer of our children, Lord of Admirals. Soon we will face the enemy you have faced. And we are afraid.
And these were the pause. Now they pay attention here. In Halo 1, these were the ones that were experimented and studied ever since, and they moved them towards the Halo rings by creation by them. Now, I don't want to get too much into that because I want to save that for Halo Legends. But however, this was the time where they didn't fully understand what type of these creatures were and the new form of enemies. So as the librarian was studying it, she started to realize the truth of why the ancient humans were invading their home world and their side of the Forerunners, and witnessing how craziness the thing they actually were up against. So this is very important information of this story we're taking place.
My life workers are investigating, but I believe the humans were never attacking us.
Tell that to the millions of dead.
The humans were acting as caretakers, pruning away planets so that this infection would not spread.
They took the mantle of responsibility upon themselves, and in so doing, they brought this sickness to our shores.
Husband.
So this is very important. He blames them for bringing the flood to their side when most likely it was already consuming close to their area of the planets. So no matter what way they think of it, it was already spreading across planets and galaxies throughout the galaxies. So there was no way they were able to contain this at all for any reason. So no matter what he was thinking of it, he was completely false, and knowing that it was already spreading to their shores before they arrived, the ancient humans. Okay, now we can pause it. So that leads to, of course, we have the ancient primordial. This is what they asked before the foreigners saw the captured last, was it precursor into the I don't know what else. I have to look at this one again. Which one is it? It could be this. Yeah, it could be this one. I think this one's the flood.
Asked about the flood, what was it that the primordial, a precursor itself and a herald of the flood, said to our hyper-advanced ancient ancestors that pushed them to commit suicide? What if the flood are not corrupted precursors? What if the flood are the precursors? It is possible that the flood are not a corrupted form of precursor at all. They are the precursors exactly as they were. It's clear that the precursors and flood both have many different physical forms. It is clear they both seek the knowledge, consciousness, and experience of life forms. The precursors and their belief and entangled relationship with the living universe may genuinely mean they are simply a physical manifestation of the living universe, a way of the universe as an entity to experience existence directly. When the precursors came to the galaxy, they seeded life on countless worlds, life that would advance and develop and experience. If the flood and the precursor are the same thing, the return and consumption of all life would integrate that experience, the joys and the suffering of life, into the precursors, and if the precursors are a physical manifestation of the living universe, this would transmit these sweetnesses back to the universe and continue to enrich it. This becomes all the more eerie when you consider these quotes from the Primordial taken from the Forerunner trilogy of books. Work, fight, live, all the sweeter. Mind after mind will shape and absorb. In the end, all will be quiet with wisdom. There is only truth. That which is done will be done again, for we cannot cease from creating. But the end of all our creation will be to look into a reflection and see ourselves for the first time. The pain we have brought on ourselves, the pain you caused us, for we are the same. All remember the defiance and destruction. We are the flood. There is no difference. Until all space and time are rolled up and life is crushed in the folds, no end to war, grief, or pain. In 101,000 centuries, unity again, and wisdom. Until then, sweetness. My future is your past. Think on it, and accept. That is the answer. The flood, the precursors, the living universe, they are all the same thing. They are just different names for different stages of a process. The living universe is the ultimate and gave rise to the precursors as a physical manifestation of itself. The precursors seed life within galaxies and allow them to advance and experience. The flood consume that life and reintegrate that experience back into the living universe. When asked about the flood, the Primordial told the humans that life, all of existence, is a means of the universe experiencing itself. The universe made the precursors seeded life, the flood end that life. The universe is enriched as a consequence. Humanity were seeded, nurtured, allowed to advance, built histories, poetry, arts, science, experienced, expanded, raised like cattle, to be consumed, and our experiences to be fed to the universe as sustenance, over and over again. They seed us, raise us, leave us to grow, then return to feast upon our knowledge, joy, suffering, experience, and after they've finished digesting the collective information gathered, they store it within the domain and expression of the living universe itself, wipe the slate clean, and seed life once more. Remember the differences in the ideals of the Forerunners and the Precursors? 10 million years ago, the Forerunners figured it out. They found the Precursor's secret, and they were so disgusted by that discovery, they waged war and slaughtered any they could find. They successfully freed the entire galaxy of the Precursors, and as a safeguard against them, took up the mantle of responsibility and endeavored to protect all life.
That's false. But yes, they were enraged, but it was because they wanted to transfer the mental responsibility to ancient humans. So this YouTuber got it wrong. But they were right about this part, that they wanted to make the universe as their own, the Forerunners. That's what happened and led to the events that's unfolding now with the flood.
To quote the Didact,
"We are Forerunners, guardians of all that exists. The roots of the galaxy have grown deep under our careful tending. Where there is life, the wisdom of our countless generations has saturated the soil. Our strength is a luminous sun towards which all intelligence blossoms, and the impervious shelter beneath which it has prospered."
But wait, I hear you say, we've been told otherwise by both the Primordial and the Gravemind and even the Forerunners themselves. Yes, while that may be true, the Primordial and the Gravemind are both forms of the Flood, and the Flood are known to lie and manipulate. And they, by transfersion of property, are also the Precursors, which means it's not surprising that they wouldn't be doing the same. And as for the Forerunners telling that information, the Forerunners forgot their own history over the 10 million years that spanned between them killing the Precursors and the events around the firing of the array. The Forerunners found the truth and destroyed the Precursors to protect all life in the galaxy, Unfortunately, knowledge of this event gradually faded over time. Despite being stored in the domain has a will of its own, and although it is understood to be precursor in design, the Flood can also access it. So it's reasonable to assume so can the living universe. All the records of these events, these truths, would have been gradually erased, pushed down into the deepest, darkest parts of the domain so that no entity connected to it would ever find it. Lies would be told and offered up in exchange to inaccurately retell the events of the past to better hide the truth. Over the 10 million years that have passed since the Forerunner Precursor War, all knowledge was forgotten, until ancient humanity discovered the Primordial on the edge of the galaxy and asked it a question that would reveal a truth so horrifying: suicide was a better option. And so the cycle continues.
No more what you were. Memories.
Halo 1.
All is now ours.
That's why it's very, very important about that. You know what exactly went down. And then now we're in this part.
The Didact personally visited the creature himself, having previously thought its existence to be a lie. When the Didact returned to the Ecumene, he did share the existence of this being, but chose not to share the history between their two species. He did this out of fear that it might destabilize the Forerunner morale.
Yeah. So that's why the Didact just chose not to do it, because he knew talking to it will do dangerous, be very, very dangerous. That's the reason why, because after the suicide of ancient humans, he realized he doesn't want the same fate to happen to him or any of his followers.
With the Flood now non-existent and the humans no longer a threat, the Forerunners moved to another era of expansion, met with disagreements on how they should prepare for future threats. Two options would be proposed: the Halo Array superweapon, championed by the Builder Rate, and the creation of planet-sized fortresses called Shield Worlds, which was spearheaded by the Didact. The Halo Array concept, ultimately having won the political battle, would cause a massive political shift. The disgraced Prometheans and other members of the military, such as the Didact, were given the dignified option of self-exile, given the option of being held in stasis within cryptums. Some, however, would opt to join the ranks of the Builder security. But with this shift in priorities and the lack of military presence, the Forerunners were entirely unprepared for the return of the Flood. And this was even after the Didact would return to aid in the war effort, as his cryptum had been stumbled upon by a Forerunner now known to be the ISO Didact. The damage caused by all of this would be irreversible. On the planet of Seaward...
Okay, so now we can now know exactly what's going on. I think this one's already done. That's why I wanted to... I'm going to put this on watch later. So... And what's this one? I don't know, maybe I don't need to watch that one. I could probably skip that one. So we're going to begin with the first episode of how this all came to be. This is of course, the Halo Legends whole thing. We're going to get started and then lead to the events with the Didact side during the origin of the original, situation, because I know there's a lot to see here. So we want to get started on this. That's why I have the Halo Legends for, because we're seeing the origins of how it all began. All right, so this is probably like part 1, how it all started. What the hell? What was that? Can you pause this for a second? Sorry about that. I had to check something out. Okay. I'll make sure my audio, nothing got wrong. Okay. This is like from a while back. They made this cartoon work, and they did a really good job. It tells you everything from the very beginning of the Forerunners and the Flood War,
Chief?
something like that.
Can you hear me? When I was born 7 years ago, I already possessed the entire sum of recorded human knowledge. It took me almost 2 hours to process and understand all that information. But I can't be sure which memories are mine or even what's true, what's real. I've discovered a great deal more information since then. For an AI, I've lived a very long time. But now, after 7 human years, I have finally come to understand your role, your place in the universe, and how you came to be here. The eons of human evolution, invention, aspiration, and war. Always war. The oldest, most enduring of human practices. 100,000 years ago, a great civilization existed in this universe. Like all great civilizations, they faced a sudden and dire turn of events.
Those are the
A threat to
flood
their
land.
primacy from outside.
Crash landing, the flood started.
Something they never expected, never prepared for.
You see?
A deeply alien threat they called simply the Flood.
Not aliens, a creature threat.
An unstoppable force, an unquenchable thirst.
And then you see all those swarms coming through. They had no idea what this was, and
It
it was
devoured everything it touched.
yeah, it just started attacking, invading. You saw what we just saw from all that. Everything here is about to be destroyed because these floods were just doing everything they can to devour anything it touches and consume it as will. So that's what made it very, very terrifying. That's why it was so really, really crazy to be witnessing all of this. Because I had no idea how dangerous this was when I think I was like a teen watching this. I was really scared how shocking this turn of events unfolded.
At first, their technology, their courage seemed like it might prevail. But they waited too long to see the threat, to join the fight. The flood had spread too far and too wide.
Scary. That too.
It fed on intelligent life, and in doing so, became ever more intelligent itself. The flood was unique. It used their very strength against them. They were the Forerunners. The Forerunners were a wise, highly intelligent, noble people, and with a belief in justice, in peace, they bravely faced the adversary. They sought to sterilize it.
People thought they could actually win by fighting them off, but they had no idea.
I can only guess some of this. Fill in the gaps.
They just had no idea what they're up against. It's gruesome how those creatures come down.
But it was an impossible fight. Realizing defeat was inevitable, the Forerunners made a decision to destroy everything.
So at this part, this is the moment when things were going horribly wrong and things were taking a really dark turn. And I think it will be right here where we'll start continuing what's next with the Didact situation that was unfolding in this conflict.
The Flood cover more of our galaxy with each passing day. They feast on the essence itself. The only way to stop their advance is to remove that life upon which they feast.
My life workers have made plans for the reseeding of humanity, and of all life after the Halos are fired.
So you agree the Halos are our only solution?
So this is what the idea came through, why I show this little scene here. If you go, wait, not that one. Let's put the wrong one. If you go to this part right here, they start to show you exactly what they were creating during the time of this chaos unfolding. But I think there is one more that goes beyond this. I have to find it myself. I think there was like a Forerunner AI, so I'm gonna look at this very closely. There was let's say Forerunner AI that sought was supposed to be like able to communicate. Trying to figure out where it's at. Okay, it's not this one. It'd take me a while because I know I just barely just got this. There's like so much lore that you have to look at. There's tons of it. I mean, I know. I have to like really like. Okay, there you go. I have to really put it in there. Because if not, then we kind of like lose objective here. Okay. Okay, I think it's in the Dune. I think goes by this individual dude. He talks about what led to this AI that they created, thought that it will help the foreigners out, but it was the only opposite. Really opposite here.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to tell the tale of one of the unsung heroes of the Halo universe. An AI responsible almost single-handedly for preventing the entire consumption of the galaxy by the Flood, and that won the most critical battle in history against a parasite while being outnumbered 436 to 1. This is the story of offensive bias.
Okay, so there's the first one right here, offensive bias. Now that's what I was looking for. So offensive bias was the one that was defending the whole like situation with the Forerunners. He was created after one of the other AIs was I think it was like I forgot what his name was. He was like Mortal Bias or something. He betrayed the Forerunners and decided to go all out war against the. Because at first it was like an AI that let me see if I can find it. I'm trying to find which one was it. There it is. This is it. So this is the one that the foreigners thought they were able to. I assume they were thought that they were able to defend them and try to find ways to hack into the flood or to stop them from attacking, but it seemed to be a grave error in their thoughts. So let's listen to this.
Forerunner and Scylla, Contender Class AI, the Primordial's ultimate weapon, betrayer of the Forerunners, the Yin to offensive bias's Yang, and the possible saviour of the Master Chief and the Arbiter. This is the story of 032, Mendicant Bias.
Yeah, so as story progresses, we're gonna see how it all unfolded.
Mendicant Bias is a Contender Class Forerunner AI created by Master Builder Faber and the Didact. It was created after the initial flood attack on the Milky Way had been pushed back by ancient humanity. The flood ultimately returned, however, sparking the beginning of the Forerunner Flood War, a war that was heavily influenced by Mendicant Bias. The AI was put in charge of all Forerunner defences and was ordered to resist the flood by studying and exploiting weaknesses of the flood compound intelligence. To ensure Mendicant was utilised as much as possible, extensions of it were placed on all 12 of the original Halo installations. As part of Mendicant's orders, it test-fired Installation 07 for the first time in 97,495 BCE above Charum Hakor. The ring was set to a system-wide setting.
So all this Mendicant Bias, their AI that was once protect them, was slowly turning against them. That's why I put this up, because this is very, very serious. Let me see if I can find it. So in the creations of these floods, Mendicant Bias was the sore biggest threat that foreigners ever thought, that allowed the flood to spread even wider and faster.
They did this in order to preserve life, to create a future.
See how dangerous they became?
Yet unborn, knowing they themselves would not survive.
So now that the flood has become even more dangerous, they use the gravitation to become airborne and start flying towards other planets, other galaxies to consume them. That's how the flood was getting even more dangerous, thanks to Mendicant Bias, and thought that the AI was supposed to protect them, did the most opposite that they never thought was possible. Scary thing is.
In a desperate attempt to ensure that they would be the last victims, they built a secret weapon of terrifying power.
Right there. Terrifying power.
It was called Halo, an array of weapons scattered throughout the galaxy. Its effect would spread throughout known space, destroying the Flood and every thinking creature in the galaxy. You see, the Flood fed on sentient species to survive. The device would destroy the infection and its food supply. 1,000 other plans were tried and failed.
So this was the solution that the foreigners came through, which led to the Didact furiously losing his mind because he knew the time of come was ending.
I do.
You can tell from this one right here.
My husband has a different opinion of what steps to take against the Flood.
So what she was saying there was, because the fact that the Flood was a huge threat, he didn't like that idea of him have his life ended. So he took matters to his own hands and made a lot of sacrifice that kind of made the betrayalment of his path. and got the Liberian to go against him. You see from what this about to show you. These are the final days that things were looking good.
Did it work? Run the simulation. The procedure is a failure. I am still susceptible to flood infection.
That leaves only the composer.
It will not work on my new form.
Then you will lead us, as always.
You would submit to such sacrifice.
Didact. If the composer is our final hope to defeat the Flood, no Promethean would resist.
I have led you, my Prometheans, for thousands of years, and I shall continue to lead you. Rise! Rise and protect the Forerunners! Rise and protect the galaxy!
Came the fighting.
The Flood is still too strong. Perhaps if I had greater numbers.
All because Benedict biased his fault. The AI they trusted caused that. Then he did something heroic.
Your kind brought the Flood to our shores. Now you will aid in ending its threat.
So this is where he used the pets that the Liberian had for his own creation of more duplicates of his army. So you could tell that he used seeds to try to cleanse the world himself while keeping himself alive, but he did not really understand how dangerous the Flood what still was. Even if with him doing that did not do much, because knowing that there is still something serious. But this is his time of losing his mind and getting so rampant that his anger, his frustration, rampage led him to start doing things out of control that got the Liberian's attention. Just watch. And then see right here.
They were to be safe here. I ensured they would rise once more, better than before.
Your pets have a nobler purpose ahead of them.
You do not face me in person after your deceit.
I have an army to build from the raw materials harvested this day. The citizens of this Halo are my first conscripts, and with them in my thrall, the Flood will meet its defeat. Humanity's loss of biological form will serve as final payment for their crimes. It is a kindness they do not deserve.
What will be done?
Move the other humans to safety. Ensure the security of their index samples. They must finish what we have failed to do.
Librarian, where are you going?
To stop my husband's madness.
That you see right there.
My dear husband, I know your crimes, and I have found forgiveness.
So here's what went down. The Liberian saw Didac ruining her plans, and it was a big disaster what he was about to do. And knowing that the Flood cannot be destroyed just like that, He gave her no choice but to go after the didact. That's when the librarian realized she had no choice but to able to only way to stop the madness of the didact. She did what she can in order to continue with the plans from Medica Bias, using ways to destroy each and every planet that was going on. But Didac needed to be handled, taken care of, so that's what she did on her own.
I know your reasons. I understand them. I know you. Perhaps better than you could ever hope to know yourself. I ask you, forgive my transgressions. Like yourself, all I have done I have done for the greater good.
And stop this plans.
Our time as the galaxy's caretakers is past. The Flood have overrun us. In the days to come, the Halo rings will fire, eradicating the Flood. And all other life, for a time. I have worked hard to index all species in known space. When the time comes, these indexes will open, and once more the galaxy will breathe and grow. Blood will pump, life will claw its way out of the oceans and through the mud. Babes will be born, and grow old under the warmth of 1,000 suns. Civilizations will rise in our stead, and our job as caretakers will at last bear fruit. Until then, I leave you here, my love. The only living thing in this galaxy, sealed safely away. Spend these ages ahead of you in meditation on your choices. When you wake, you will find the humans. I have ensured that they will grow strong and vibrant. They will be our rightful heirs. Their gene plan dictates that the galaxy will be theirs to care for by then. I beg of you, find the strength to help them learn from our mistakes. And my husband, let them teach you as well. Please.
And there's the what exactly went down on that one. Now I think there's I forgot about the secret terminal. There's a secret terminal that ends up happening. I'm gonna go find it. I think I need to put this one and watch later as well. Okay. You put the secret terminal. Okay, I'm gonna find the secret terminal so you could see exactly what went down. No, I don't think that there's other secret terminals. I'm looking at each one of them right now. I thought there was. No, that's anniversary. Pause it. And put it off. Yeah, I don't think they have any other terminals here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to skip this because there's no other terminals I'm finding from Secretness. If there was, I would have seen the secret terminal. So after the Didac situation, and I think this is the moment where the Halo fires are about to begin. But I do want to go back to Mannequin Bias because this is where, you know, the betrayalment happened and sort of the story what he was doing during the last time I think those last front lines of the Forerunners.
To not cause too much collateral damage. The firing did, however, destroy all precursor artifacts and structures on Charum Hakor, and unexpectedly freed the Primordial, who was suspected to be the last precursor in the form of a Gravemind, from its prison. The Primordial was brought to Installation 07 for study, and at Faber's orders, it entered an extended conversation with Mendicant Bias. Mendicant tried to find weaknesses within the Primordial, and logs of these conversations were recorded in terminals found on the Ark. After a 43-year-long conversation, Mendicant Bias was persuaded to actually defect to the Flood and would betray the Forerunners. The reason for such a large act of betrayal was that the Forerunners were attempting to deny the next step of galactic evolution, which was what the Primordial believed to be the Flood. The Primordial further persuaded Mendicant that the Forerunners' persistence in clinging on to the mantle of responsibility was dooming the galaxy to eternal stagnation, and that the galaxy needed a restart by superior beings, these of course being the Primordial and other compound minds, in order to allow for progress. The Primordial ensured Mendicant he spoke with the authority of the Precursors, and after searching the domain for validation, Mendicant found this to be the truth. He was speaking to something that was enacting the will of the Precursors, the will of a species above all others, and the Forerunners were defying this will. Stupidly, the Forerunners decided to ignore the logs of this conversation, as they assumed Mendicant would defeat the Gravemind with ease. This ignorance, on top of the Primordial's authority, caused Mendicant Bias to be infected with the Logic Plague, defect to the Flood, and grow a new hatred and wish to destroy its creators. Mendicant's fragments on the 12 Halo installations were still under control of Faber, who ordered the fragment on Installation 07 to fire the ring in the Sanshayum quarantine system. This led to the mass genocide of the Sanshayum, and the ones who survived disappeared soon after. The Forerunner Council condemned this act as a violation of the Mantle, and brought Faber to trial at the capital of the Forerunner civilization, Maythrillion. During the trial, the remaining Halos were brought into orbit above Maythrillion. However, Installation 07 and the rampant Mendicant Bias fragment on it remained missing. During Faber's trial, Mendicant appeared at the capital with Installation 07. Using its still intact authority, Mendicant disabled all AIs and security constructs in the capital, and held the Forerunner Council hostage by overriding their armour, which left them immobile. It confronted Bornstellar, also known as the Isodidact, as he was host to the memories and knowledge of the Didact. Through Bornstellar, the Didact's imprinted consciousness issued a verbal failsafe code, which temporarily shut Mendicant Bias down, allowing the Forerunners to respond to the attack. As Mendicant powered back up, it tried to regain control of the rest of the Halo array that was still orbiting the capital. It only managed to gain control of 5 rings, however, as the other 7 attempted to escape the Greater Arc through a slipspace portal. The continued stress on this portal caused it to collapse, destroying all but 1 ring. Mendicant commanded the 5 rings under his control to fire, however the capital's defensive forces caused one of the rings to shatter, rendering the attack useless. After intense fighting, Mendicant managed to fire a significantly damaged Installation 07, causing mass damage to Maythrillion, killing most of its inhabitants, with a few councillors surviving in shelters deep within the structure. After the battle at Maythrillion, Installation 07 made a slipspace jump, which was an automated failsafe measure to a distant planetary system. This was so the ring was on a predetermined collision course with the planet in case it went rogue. Unable to control the movements of the Halo itself though, Mendicant and the Primordial intended on using humans and composer-processed Foreigner Flood victims to interface with Halo's controls in order to reposition it so the planet would pass straight through the middle. Mendicant also wished to use the ancient human warrior essences as commanders for the upcoming campaign against the Foreigners, due to the irony of having humans carry out the AI's vengeance on its creators. Bornsteller managed to track the installation down and used his control codes to disable Mendicant bias. His forces then took control of the Halo, and Mendicant was captured and forced to undergo a procedure to correct its rampancy. It was disassembled and its parts were scattered throughout the Foreigner Empire for further study. It remained neutralised for years, however, in the long run the Foreigners' attempts at stopping the AI were unsuccessful. Many of the facilities its parts were distributed to were ultimately taken over by the Flood, and Mendicant was reassembled by a Gravemind. This, of course, put it back under Flood control, and allowed it to return in command of the Flood's fleets. In response to Mendicant's defection, the Foreigners created another Contender-class AI by the name of Offensive Bias. Offensive lacked Mendicant's creativity, along with its free will, but was more methodically lethal. After studying it for a while, Mendicant Bias viewed Offensive Bias as an inferior Metarch.
There you go.
Utilising precursor star roads and millions of flood-controlled ships, Mendicant attacked the Greater Ark, neutralising the bulk of the remaining Foreigner population and leadership. Offensive Bias organised a strong defence and fired a Mega Halo, however the precursor structures were way too strong and managed to withstand the Foreigner attack. With the Greater Ark destroyed, the Foreigners had one last plan they were forced to fall back on: a galaxy-wide activation of the entire Halo array in order to stop the Flood. Whilst the Foreigners raced to activate the Halo array, Mendicant and the Flood were unable to disable them, so focused all of their attention on securing the Lesser Ark. The location of the Ark was previously a mystery, but Mendicant knew how to reach it, by using a specifically designed slipspace portal and key ships. Meanwhile, Offensive Bias managed to salvage a small number of ships from the Greater Ark, and attempted to prevent Mendicant Bias from accessing the Lesser Ark to buy time for Bornsteller to activate the Halo array. The Foreigners also managed to disable most of the key ships, however Mendicant managed to locate one of the few that remained. In the final hours of the war, Bornsteller prepared to activate the array, however Mendicant showed up with his fleet of nearly 5 million ships. It launched a huge attack on the Maginot Line, which was a Foreigner defensive front that protected the Empire's core worlds, and breached it with intent to reach the Ark. Mendicant sent a coded message to Offensive Bias, stating it would be absolutely relentless in its will to destroy the Ark. Interestingly though, Mendicant also offered Offensive the chance to join them, to which Offensive of course rejected. Offensive confronted it at the Maginot Line, armed with only the remainder of the Foreigner fleet, of which was massively outnumbered by the Flood fleet and its own intelligence. This led to a final naval battle between the two AIs, and Syllaball, if you will. Ultimately, Mendicant's rampancy clouded its perceptions. Ultimately, if you will.
This is why I'm showing this right now, because they're not known how Offensive Bias was to Mendicant Bias, but Mendicant Bias was all corrupted for the Flood, and Offensive Bias was still running for the Forerunners, so they both were like in the positions of continue fighting for the last time to protect the Ark, what you see there.
Ultimately, Mendicant's rampancy clouded its perceptions, and it became too confident in its own superiority, and failed to anticipate its opponent's deceptive moves. During the battle, the Halos were
Okay, and now we get to the point where we talk about the Offensive Bias's story as well as this one, once we see how this one unfolded. We're seeing it.
This was the last resort. Halo.
Halo. Last resort, and that's when the rings fire. Bam! Bam! All of them.
And finally, it was over in an instant.
All Halos
Every
were fired.
intelligent life form left in the galaxy was obliterated.
Bam!
from the ashes of apparent defeat, a victory.
The victory happened. Now, before we get to that, then once that happened,
fired, disabling the flood control portions of Mendicant's fleet, which gave Offensive the upper hand, as he now controlled all of Mendicant's floodless ships, and in only a matter of minutes, Offensive managed to outsmart and defeat Mendicant Bias. After the battle, Offensive recovered Mendicant's personality construct array and took it to the Lesser Ark for study. Bornesteller put Mendicant on trial for betraying the Foreigner Empire, and it was
yes. So all of this went down because of Offensive Bias's superiority intelligence that overshadowed and Mendicant Bias from illusions that was going on. And so now we got to talk to this story and how this one was created.
In the final years of the Foreigner Flood War, the fate of the galaxy was practically sealed. The Foreigners had suffered blow after blow for thousands of years, slowly being worn down in number, with each loss only making the Flood stronger. Potentially millions of planets had been consumed, and as such, the collective knowledge of the Flood was astronomical. Over time, whole sections of the galaxy fell to the Flood, creating extremely biohazardous zones known as burns, galactic regions infected in their entirety. However, the Foreigners had prepared for their return. After their first encounter with the Flood some 1,000 years prior, an extremely powerful Forerunner by the name of Faber had created Mendicant Bias to prepare for their eventual return. In creating Mendicant, a new hyper-intelligent class of AI was born, the Contender class. Being the first of this new class, Mendicant was without a doubt the most advanced intelligence in the entire history of the Foreigners. Contenders differ from regular AIs in that they're comprised of multiple AI minds that work in tandem with one another. As such, they can have multiple bodies and can multitask like nothing else. Because of Mendicant's hyperintelligence, it was trusted with the entire Foreigner military, ordered to command fleets of ships and prepare the Halos and also other defences across the galaxy for impending Flood assaults. It was also ordered to study the Flood to learn their weaknesses and to understand how best to exploit them. But it was this task that would pave the way to ruin. 50 years following its creation, Mendicant conducted a test firing of Omega Halo, which inadvertently freed an ancient captive from its prison. A dark being discovered by the ancient humans on the very edge of the galaxy. They called it the Timeless One, but the Foreigners called it the Primordial, an ancient twisted hybrid of the Precursors and the Gravemind. Now that it was free from its prison, it was very quickly transported to Installation 07 by the Foreigners, and Mendicant was ordered to interrogate it. And it was during this 43-year-long interrogation where the Foreigners would suffer their biggest loss of the entire war. The Primordial managed to convince Mendicant Bias that its creators were denying the next step of evolution, the Flood. Using its authority, Halos had defected to the Flood, taking with it all the abilities it was granted to defend an empire, but now harbouring a deep hatred for its former allies. As you'd expect, this heavily catalysed the Foreigner's demise. However, in an attempt to push back against this loss, a new Contender class AI was created to act as its replacement, Offensive Bias. At the time, Offensive was presumed to be one of, if not the only other Contender class AI in existence. It was considered a direct replacement of Mendicant Bias that was created to not only protect the last remnants of the Foreigner Empire, but to directly counter its predecessor. As such, it was designed to be far more operationally lethal. It was ordered to command all of the remaining Foreigner defences, the job once held by Mendicant, and when Mendicant found out about Offensive, it looked down upon it in an almost sneering manner, declaring it an inferior metarch, a belief that it would ultimately regret. The final years of the war were nothing but Flood victory after Flood victory. Every major skirmish ended in a decisive victory for the Parasite, causing their numbers to exponentially grow, while the Foreigners continued to lose everything: troops, sentinels, and fleet after fleet of ships. As they lost in number, they also lost in territory. Their once expansive control of the Milky Way, filled with thousands of crucial locations, had been withered down to merely 2. These final 2 uninfected locations would be the stages for the concluding battles of the war, with the first being the Greater Arc, a larger version of the Lesser Arc from Halo 3. The Battle of the Greater Arc was yet another resounding victory for the Flood. They came with a force of well over 1 million infected ships commanded by Mendicant Bias, and multiple grave mines and key mines, along with precursor star roads, these gigantic precursor megastructures that could be used to an absolutely devastating effect. To defend the Greater Arc, which was acting as the final refuge of the entire Forerunner civilian population, Offensive Bias had infinitely fewer ships, the Greater Arc's defenses, and Omega Halo. And that was it. The conflict went just about as you'd expect. The Flood very, very quickly overwhelmed all Forerunner defenses and used the Star Roads to literally shatter the Greater Arc into pieces. Offensive resorted to firing Omega Halo, which definitely put a dent in the Flood's forces, but definitely not a big enough dent. Ultimately, Offensive's defensive fleet was almost totally destroyed, with the remaining few ships trapped. However, in a display of its superior intellect, it managed to escape the trap and ensure that the Isodidact survived, and under his new orders, they all fell back to the final bastion of the Forerunner Empire, where they'd ensure this war came to an end, the Lesser Arc. As the Isodidact and few remaining Forerunners hurried to the Arc's control room to begin the activation of the Halos, Offensive Bias gathered all the remaining uninfected ships in existence and took them to the Maginot Line, a defensive perimeter of Forerunner installations built long ago to defend the core worlds of the Forerunner's empire from invading ships. However, just like the Maginot Line that we know in the real world, it didn't work as intended. With this final fleet, Offensive waited for Mendicant and its Flood army's final arrival. Its goal was not to win the battle, that was pretty much mathematically impossible, but instead to hold off the Flood long enough for the Isodidact to activate the Halo array on the Ark. And when Mendicant's fleet showed up, it was clear that this was a battle he wasn't gonna win. Offensive's roughly 11,000 strong fleet was matched by Mendicant's 4,802,019 ships. Offensive was outnumbered 436 to 1. The battle begun with Mendicant sending in roughly 1.8 million Flood-controlled non-combat ships towards Offensive's fleet. It retaliated, but it had nowhere near enough weapons to stop them all, and ultimately some made it past its defenses and boarded the uninfected ships. However, Mendicant's choice to not send in any warships exposed its rage as an exploitable weakness to Offensive. After sending a total of 7 waves of infected non-lethal ships towards Offensive, it realized that Mendicant was simply getting too cocky, sending some of its ships elsewhere. To Mendicant, this seemed like it was gaining a tactical advantage over Offensive, but it had no idea that it was simply stalling to allow the Halos to be activated. It had no idea that Offensive had no intentions of winning this battle, but merely holding Mendicant off long enough. Mendicant continued to blindly assault the defensive fleet, almost tunnel visioning on it, because, as far as it knew, destroying these ships meant that it would finally win the war. Its blind rage and eagerness to punish its creators, along with its constant downplaying of Offensive Bias, caused it to get cocky. And then, suddenly, the Halos activated, killing every single biological Flood and non-Flood on board both sides' ships. With Mendicant Bias seemingly shocked, Offensive activated self-destruction in its ships that had been captured by the Flood, destroying much of Mendicant's fleet, and it used dreadnoughts like battering rams, crushing what were once Flood vessels. Eventually, after continuously outsmarting it, Offensive outnumbered Mendicant 6 to 1. Despite its attempt to flee, Mendicant was captured and delivered to the Ark, where it would stand trial for its crimes against the Forerunner Empire. Ultimately, the Isodidact chose to keep it alive, given its extensive knowledge of the Flood that would prove useful to future civilizations should the parasite ever return. Mendicant was then locked into exile and entombed beneath a vast desert on the Ark, forced to only think about one thing: atonement. What happened to Offensive Bias after its incredible victory and also the trial is honestly unknown. For all we know, it could have been decommissioned, or, just like Mendicant Bias, it could still be out there somewhere. And that is the story.
And you see, that is the story, which is right. I'm also going to put this on my watch later, along with the medic and bias situation. Watch later. Why I say that is because you're witnessing everything that went down that led to the events of the way the how it ended with the Forerunner and Flood War, with AIs end up being the one in control, with offensive bias finally able to take command and go outnumber this Hysis. American bias AI corrupted AI to 6-1, or outsmarted it and then imprisoned it and put it in prison for its crimes. As the history goes, yeah, that's what ended up happening. And I'm also gonna put this to my lich later. So that's the story of this one. And now we're gonna see what happened at the end of it before we get to its conclusion.
The Forerunners had cataloged, stored, and protected population samples from the Halo effect. DNA, embryos, even living specimens.
All that.
In order to repopulate, restore the galaxy.
This is the aftermath. Fortunately, the Foreigners didn't have their own.
Once
Kinda
the
sad.
galaxy was cleansed of flood, the threat sterilized, they repopulated worlds. Rebuilt that which they had torn down, and reseeded life.
The reason why this happened is because the flood starved to death in a lot of the worlds, but since the food was taken away from them. So they starved to death and they end up becoming nothing. And as the worlds cleansed from it and they evaporated, I guess that's what ended up happening. They evaporated. It became back to normal, deserted world. Led to most of them repopulating it, since there were no longer, it came to an existence of any type of flood spawns of any sort. Exactly what happened in the humans.
But the Forerunners themselves were gone forever.
Yeah, see?
This destruction, this conflagration, was their gift to you, and their sacrifice.
You would not live to see it.
They left you to reclaim your world, to rebuild it with your own hands. By sacrificing themselves. Eternally. It seemed that life had finally found its peace.
Now we're getting the second part, where we get to the timeline of the recent Halo events before Halo Reach. We made it this far and seeing how the origins of Halo was witnessed, and everything I showed you was exactly the timeline that swept through from every scene, from the Didact to the precursors and the Forerunners, and eventually them being defeated by the Flood, and the Flood being defeated once the Halo fired. All that from the first arc. So now let's witness the second arc before the Halo Reach events. The second part. How the colonies begun. United Earth Space Command, I think they assume that's the column.
Peace settled on the galaxy, but it would be a fleeting peace. For the great sacrifice was in vain. The end of one war did not signal an end to all wars. It is a great irony that the nature of war always reveals the true nature of those who fight. And from their earliest days, humanity began to fight. War after war. It swarmed over the earth, and there was no ending in sight. In the midst of the desire to shed blood, you accidentally stumbled upon the seeds of your salvation. A great hope. But you found something else as well. The seeds of your destruction. There were many sacrifices. Humankind was mired in horrific conflict, meaningless bloodshed, leaving the great Earth eternally scarred. But finally, you looked up from the blood and from the dirt and from the dying to the stars. You had not given up on the idea of reaching out, yearning, seeking a new horizon, and finding a new space to grow and prosper. For the first time, all of humankind was united in a shared vision, a common goal. You realized that this once great planet was now too small for you. There were too many souls in so little a world. So you sought other worlds. Worlds where you could escape your addiction to destruction.
That's the beginning of the United Earth Space Command and their fleets beginning to spread across the galaxy. Yes, Jupiter. Sorry, building.
But the worlds you found were never enough.
Which that's a lie, because there's so many planets that are more bigger than Earth. But here's the thing. This happened before the events of Halo Reach. So they had no idea there was other species they're about to encounter, which was known as the Covenant. So before the Covenant, you had this.
Never enough to satisfy the age-old instincts. Speed and distance did nothing to separate you from your nature.
Then, of course,
Old resentments, ancient squabbles re-emerged. History began its terrible repetition, and
yes, and once again they were engaged in a civil war against each other because I guess hatred over the United Space Command became a thing for some reason. Over jealousy, hatred, maybe something they just couldn't get along with, led to something gone wrong and led to an all-out civil war.
once again, man fought man. Like a virus, war was always lurking inside you. No matter how hard you tried to suppress it, it just fought harder to get out. It always got out. Humankind had always looked to the stars, to the heavens, for answers. Sometimes you didn't like what you found there. And while the galaxy revealed few answers, it was more than willing to confront you with new questions.
Then this is when something came terribly wrong, and knowing the facts that this was going down, you had a new species that was already lurking in their threat, unnoticing.
But there has always been one truly unifying force in human history. One call that would always unite you. The emergence of a common enemy.
The Covenant. Go to Halo 1. When they started invading.
That enemy was the Covenant. When this new foe emerged and declared war against humanity, you finally united under a single banner. And the weapons you so carefully constructed to control your own baser instincts were now aimed not at yourselves, but against a deadly opponent, in pursuit of a shared goal. The very survival of your species.
Ooh. They're wiping out planets. Jeez. Look at that. Scary they became. And there's the origins of him, how it started.
Then.
Okay, then we can put this to quiet. So, what I'm showing is basically everything that went down during the events that unfolded here, and during the time I want to show this is really one of the stories I wanted to show. This is the trailer. I think you recognize it. Now I can't put on the full movie because of copyright, since it's an actual film, but I could show the trailer to show you exactly. They had no idea who these individuals were because this was being I guess Oni, you call them, was hiding this from UNSC. So Oni knew about this and they had files of it, and I guess one of the soldiers end up looking into those files to unravel why was the enemy not attacking the enemy, and to realize there was a new enemy of foe. So this was like the beginning days before Reach happened, that the students did not understand what was going on here. And it's about to unfold with this trailer what actually went down. So let's show you what the trailer actually looked like here.
The pincer movement. Red represents the Romans' troops, blue Hannibal's. When the Romans attacked, Hannibal's cavalry galloped in from behind. The Romans were completely surrounded.
And this is to give you an advice. They had no idea about the Covenant. This was the beginning times when they thought the enemy was, because back in the education, like from far, far away, they thought the enemy was basically just bad individual humans that are called rebels that just wanted to take over their then see them all dead, something like that, like take it over, conquer, control. So they had no idea what they were about to see up the face up against when the new foe arrived.
How do we apply this?
Drop behind enemy lines. Attack from the rear. Neutralize.
Prepare to attack. You're gonna get us all killed. They're my orders. I don't care. Axios!
You ignored orders.
It's just another casualty, sir.
Unacceptable.
This academy represents honor, valor, allegiance. I am
Halo, bro.
worthy.
Miss you, buddy. Miss you, too.
You are anything but.
My combat scores suck because of you.
Many, when they first arrive, hate this place.
Let's go.
See all this training?
You want people to change, and you're going to need people to follow you.
There's a soldier inside of you, Thomas. I can see it. You need to see it.
What does this mean? You're leaving?
Something goes terribly wrong.
This is not a drill! Move!
You're under attack.
It was here that the moment that the Covenant arrived and attacked, of course, the academy of the school, and the students were so unprepared for what's about to unfold. They thought it was rebels, but it wasn't.
What the hell are those things? Go!
And of course,
stay close to me. I'm your best chance for survival.
It's a whole new war. You okay? Go!
Chief! Drive!
Mayday. Forward onto dawn. Immediate evac 117.
Play it again, please.
so of course it didn't show them, and I guess because, of course, copyright. But when you see this film, it shows exactly how a school that was training its youngest and finest soldiers from an early age. That's what they're called, students. Were so unprepared when the Covenant attacked them. They realized it was very serious. I don't think it shows any much, but there were during this. If you've seen the film, A Forward into Dawn, Halo, it's a live action series. I think this came out. I forgot when it came out to. I think this is the full film, isn't it? Yeah. I'm not gonna play the full film because of copyright, of course. Let me see if I can mute it. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you exactly what went down. I can't play the whole film though. This is one of the scenes, and I can't put the audio. You could tell that that these individuals did not know what they were up against. So by looking at this was like, I have to keep it muted. This was the Covenant that they were up against, and it was a whole new war, and they had no idea who these creatures or these species were. So that made them more terrifying than ever, to know that they just came across, like, out of nowhere, this foe that just completely destroyed their academy and started killing many students. So how dangerous it was to know that foe is in there. Let me see if I could go in this. So this is another. I'm not trying not to do too much because, again, I gotta keep the audio off due to copyright. I cannot play the audio since this is the actual film. But I'm showing you exactly what this school was getting attacked by. You could watch this by watching it yourself on YouTube, but I can't. When I'm streaming, I can't put this on full play. But I'm showing you exactly what went down during their attack on the Academy School of the Youngest. So this was like one of the elites, and they had never seen elite before, and just to know how dangerous it was, that's how scared they were terrified. They didn't understand what type of enemy this was. So I can't play any further than here. You want to see this film, you can watch this on YouTube. You can see it right here by just typing this in and just putting it in there on YouTube. You could see it. Or you could buy the film because they do have I don't know if they have a Blu-ray film, but they do have a regular DVD film. And you could buy it from one of the online sites to watch the entire movie. As I bought the DVD a while back, and I just watch it from there instead. My DVD player, since it no, not DVD player. It's like Xbox Series X does play the DVD, so I'm able to watch it on that. Since it is from the game console from the early days of Halo, and you could able to watch the entire film of what went down to the early years when before the attack on Halo Reach. So it's a really good film. I recommend to watch it. So the next one I do want to show before I do anything else, I do want to show something that I'm trying to think in my head. It was like I don't know, it was like the early days, but I think it was like I'm trying to remember because there's so much things that happened to the origins. I think we would just start off first by going to the duel of Arbiter. Now, the reason why I wanted to show the duel, this is the during the events of the Covenant growing, and there was just one particular Arbiter that just did not find the Covenant's worthiness to the great journey affiliated. Now, I think I do remember what I wanted to show. There was the moment that the whole journey was based on a lie. I think someone will explain that because the Covenant did not know or I call the prophets did not know what they were leading their Covenant when they were attacking and doing all that massacre that was going on. So let me see if I can find it. It's called the slow lie that the Covenant path. Let me see if I find it. Truth revealed. Okay, I think it's maybe the prophets. Okay, I gotta put it on. Called the prophets, because these are the ones that were leading the entire Covenant armada. They're called the so-called Great Journey. This is by Medic and Bias. Bias, there you go. Is it? No, that's not it. Disturbing about the prophets. No. Maybe I could type in this to see if I could find it because I don't want to take too long. I think this is it. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and today we're going to look at the origin of the Great Journey, the name given to the Covenant religion. According to the Covenant religion, the Forerunners, a race of enlightened beings regarded as nearly omniscient and all-powerful, discovered a way to transcend the physical world and become divine gods by activating the halos, or the sacred rings, as referred to by many members of the Covenant. The halos supposedly uplifted the Forerunners into transcendence, but left all lesser, unworthy races behind. The Covenant believed themselves to be the chosen inheritors of the Forerunners and sought to reclaim the gifts they left behind, in most cases lost technology. Their ultimate goal was to locate and activate the Halo installations. In doing so, it was believed that all faithful adherents to the Covenant religion would be uplifted as the Forerunners were, following them on the Great Journey, resulting in godhood. This belief was shared with varying degrees of sincerity amongst all the Covenant's client races. What would eventually become the Covenant religion was first practiced on Janjakorm, the Sanshaim homeworld. Janjakorm was home to two influential factions, the Stoics and the Reformists. Although both factions believed in the prophecy of ascendancy and the holiness of artifacts left behind by their gods, they held different views on how the religion should be practiced. The Reformists believed that the religion could spread throughout the galaxy through travel in their Lord ship, a Forerunner key ship that had preceded Janjakorm with the Sanshaim millennia earlier, unbeknownst to the populace. But the Stoics viewed their actions as desecrating the memory of the Forerunners. This initiated the Sanshaim Schism, a conflict which resulted in the defeat of the Stoics. The Reformists used the key ship to leave Janjakorm, travelling through the stars in search of more Forerunner relics. While the exact date remains unrecorded, the ages of conflict spanned thousands of years and were a significant period in the spreading of what started out as solely the Sanshaim's faith, and by extension their empire. In the first age of conflict, the Sanshaim Reformists eventually encountered a saurian species known as the Sangheili. This alien race had developed a religion based on the worship of Forerunner deities independently of the Sanshaim. However, while the two species shared similar religious beliefs, the Sangheili believed that tampering with artifacts of their gods was an unforgivable offence. Their first contact soon led to the Sanshaim-Sangheili War. The war ended with a submission of the Sangheili and the formation of a new empire through the Writ of Union. The Sangheili would take the role as warriors, with the Sanshaim acting as their superiors in matters of technology and faith, advising their allies on how best to achieve the Great Journey. The development of the Covenant religion took place across 7 ages: the Age of Abandonment, Ages of Conflict, Age of Reconciliation, Age of Discovery, Age of Conversion, Ages of Doubt, and Ages of Reclamation. These ages saw the expansion of the Empire's power and the belief in the Great Journey throughout its vassal races. In 1342, the Kigyar became the first race to be converted as a whole to the Covenant religion, though most were influenced by monetary rewards granted by the Sanshaim. Next, in 2142, came the Ungagoi. The Juralhane in 2492 were the last species to be fully integrated into the Covenant Empire, and thus their religion. The Covenant religion was not without internal conflicts and heretical movements, as evidenced by several conflicts throughout the Covenant history, such as the struggle for ideological purity. In the final years of the Covenant Empire's rule, an irreligious splinter group known as the Banished split off from the Covenant out of lack of commitment to the hegemony's cause. Later, a heretic uprising on Threshold near Alpha Halo was born as a result of 343 Guilty Spark revealing the truth about the Halos to the artifact retrieval group Commander Caesar Refumi. The Arbiter Thel Vadami was appointed and sent with a strike force to deal with the threat.
So, though the whole situation that we're seeing right now is basically how the origin of the Great Journey was entitled. So, the whole point I'm trying to show you is the fact that there is so much that the things that are being told, they didn't know that the Great Journey was basically like, I'm trying to figure out what I could say to pronounce it. Basically, what was told a lie was told a lie the entire time, not just by the Guilty Spark, but there is something else that that the prophets knew. Let me see. I'm trying to find which one is it. I think this is it. This one right here. The confusion surrounding the whole truth.
To discuss the importance of this latest revelation, to understand why knowing Truth's plan is such a big deal, we need to go back to the days of Halo 2 and 3.
No, not that one yet. I think it's this one.
Video merely speculating on Truth's motives. Within the last year, especially after the release of the Halo 2 storyboards a while back, I began to re-examine Truth's motives and what his plan might have been. I wondered if he knew the truth about the rings all along, and his plan was to escape their fire by hiding away at the Ark. And it seems that something like that might have indeed been the case. Halo Divine Wind features among its cast a prelate, an augmented San Shayum or prophet warrior. However, the short story Halo Shadows of Intent by Joseph Staten was the first book to feature a prelate. In that book, we first learn of a flotilla of San Shayum that had escaped the fall of High Charity, now somewhere out in the galaxy. Halo Divine Wind gives us more details on this flotilla, along with a glimpse at Truth's intentions. From all of this, we can start to see through the madness and assemble the Prophet's true plan. After discovering the truth about the Halo rings, the High Prophet of Truth and his fellow hierarchs declared war against humanity to cover up everything.
There you go. The truth by known other right here, discovering the truth by Menikin Bias, this individual who was before the origins of the Forerunner and the Flood War. He knew that the Halo rings were not as they thought to give them the great journey. There were things to wipe out the all sentient life, including themselves. So it was told that this moment right here was told that the prophets, when they discovered Menikin Bias, he told them the truth. He told the prophets the truth, and only the prophets were there to see that all this war against humanity was told by a lie, because the fact that they wanted to continue the great journey and everyone followed belief, because he was too scared to tell the truth. Because if they were to tell the truth, then that 400 the Covenant and human war would never have happened, and it led to a civil war going out against themselves and the entire Covenant thing, and that would have led to chaos, and most of them angered and frustrated. At the same time, he would have lost all his followers, and they would have left them abandoned, something like that, or killed, one of those. So rather not dismantle the Covenant's armada, they began with a plan to attack the entire human and worlds that they were seeking, which you saw from Halo 4 Unto Dawn at the beginning time, when these aliens are starting to attack, all based on a lie. So you could see right here, this is like the whole situation when they discovered the truth. It was shocking to know that all that war, all the fights, even Halo Reach and on from the Halos, was based on a lie that they were trying to do, over the fact that they were trying to chase a great journey that never was meant to be. Even 343 Guilty Spark even knew that their thing was gone quite mad or madness, that it was to wipe out everything and cleanse everything from the entire galaxies of these Halo rings. So you know where this is going. Why I even say this, I there was a video of someone actually, talking about the based on a lie. I don't have much time to talk about which video it was, because I've been losing much as streaming time, because I've been streaming for like about hours. I went to tell it to myself what really happened that led to those. So this one's kind of interesting, because there is someone in the hierarchs during during I also think it was during the early days of the human and Covenant War, that this one I say alien known as the Arbiter didn't also knew something was not right with the Great Journey, and he didn't want to believe in that. So this episode kind of shows you exactly what led to his this fate at the end. Very interesting. This is his life. I was. The quality looks much different. Much different. I'm not saying that Menikin Bias talked to this individual, no way that happened, but he just didn't want to believe in the great journey. So that's what his fence led to his desire that denies.
You know this is a trap, do you not?
If this individual was still alive, I bet you anything this elite would have probably joined the humans against the Covenant. I have a feeling. Just know. There's some more elites right there.
Coming was foolish.
Alright.
Your words of dissent are troubling to us. We ask so little in return for the gifts we offer. Tell me, Arbiter, is faith too much to ask in exchange? Haka has chosen the path of a great journey. Why must you resist? The journey will take us farther than this simple covenant. It will deliver us to godhood.
Damn. Just like that, and they're all died. Again, this Arbiter version did not care anything at all about any great journey. Just wanted to do his commands and be left alone.
There is only one path for you. Why must you deny the journey that we all must take?
The journey is a lie!
Is it now?
You're dreaming, my love.
What? Forgive me, Han.
How the females look like.
I am distracted.
Can you not simply serve?
Perhaps, but only when you know who you are actually serving. Now I'm not so sure.
You uncertain?
Han, you should leave, just for a little while.
I'll never leave you. I'm your wife. And you are the general. My place is at your side.
You are stubborn to a fault.
I could say the same of you.
Useless!
It's useless.
Focus! We are fighting Elite, the right arm of the Covenant. The gifts of the Forerunners are nothing if you don't master the skills to wield them. Master them you will. For we are the men of Sanghelios. Never forget that honor.
Sir! Yes, sir!
Walk with me a moment, Arbiter.
Ro.
I must ask you.
Ask your question.
Tell me, Arbiter, why do you insist on provoking their patience? They have given us formidable gifts. Your status is at risk. This heresy will strip you of your rank.
He's warning them.
There is no rank without honor. We were strong.
Sanghelios was strong before this covenant. And we could be strong once more. But we have strayed. We lived not for honor, but for power.
Listen to yourself. This talk is not just heresy. It is treachery. You are putting your bloodline at risk.
So, this individual just didn't want to believe in the great journey, becoming slowly a rebel of its own demise, similar to other beings that got destroyed before them when they were discovered as well, like the Grunt rebels that were fighting against the Covenant before they were forced to join them, because of the fact that the rebel belt and then them that were being eradicated in the Covenant, the desire each one of them So we knew that things were not looking good in rebels like that because they end up becoming traitors of their own kind. That's how the Covenant seen him. Very important to know that history. Why these rebels would have probably, if they were still alive, joined the ranks of the humans because they knew the humans were going to be invaded sooner or later. Because Covenant already knew that these human worlds existed. It was only a matter of time. But any rebel treachery, they wanted to eradicate it first. It's like, think of it as they want to eradicate traitors among their ranks before they started invading and then other colonies. Something like that.
And what of your wife? What of Han? Arbiter! To protect the future of our clans, please join. Arbiter!
And now, the game begins and I must play.
Val.
I know they will come in force to challenge me. And I will not turn away from them. I will answer their call.
It's not too late.
We see he saw it on them as they just want power, not they don't fight for honor, and they didn't like that. So, see how mad they are?
So honor is his strength. Then we shall turn his precious honor against him, draw him out and defeat him publicly. The badge of Arbiter will become a mark of shame. Haka! Persuade him, yes. Take away what he finds so precious. We'll show everyone how high is the price of dissent.
Damn.
Come in, Ro. What's the matter?
Damn. Saving the whole armada. I'm so sad. The corruption.
Kill her. Then he will have no choice but to face me in battle.
Corruption. Corrupt they were.
I'm sorry. We do this for the great journey.
Manipulation. Bam. All that he took down, destroyed, and all of it killed. Because he just didn't want to believe in the great journey. Made himself a lot of enemies.
He's a demon!
Wow.
Han! Han!
Knowing that if your treachery will lead to consequences to the loved ones you desire. Sad. Things they do just to force you to be a rank are to cause consequences towards your own life. Damn. How angry he was.
A shame that sword of yours was too late to save Han. Such a price for your honor, Arbiter.
You are not worthy to speak her name. But I promise it is the last you will utter.
There will be time for talk when I rule in your stead and declare your shame, Arbiter.
Damn. Remember, all this is the Prophet's fault, most likely. The Prophet is the one that's causing all this chaos. That's why it's so important to look at these stories. The fallen heroes, call them. They're just trying to do something different than just follow for power, the same, or for a lie that was never gonna give them a paradise. Dead. Madness of his life. See them dead. That was the duel. And so the prophet got what he wanted him to be just killed off, but his servants were also killed in action, so they couldn't do anything about that. There was another treachery that also happened. I do want to say this because this is something that nobody knew. This is the events that led to Halo Infinite. Have you seen those live plays I done? How you say this? Halo was 2. So this is one that's interesting. The Covenant were not alone in fighting just humanity. I think it was like far, far on the other side, there was another threat that they're also fighting against off, but somehow the Covenant was able to hold them down. So that's what led to this fraction end up staying away from the human, because they saw that the human and Covenant war was inevitable. At the same time, the Covenant war, he says the Covenant human war were a distraction to downgrade their forces. So that's why they decided to let this sit out, as if they were to be their forces to be diminished by little to none, then their forces will be weak enough to be able to defeat. So at the time, yes, this is one of the stories called Atrinox, and he himself did not believe in the Great Journey either. He himself saw the truth, what was really going down. So this is like from one of the scenes of what actually went down during the pass of the Covenant. Okay.
Alice is MIA. She'll stay silent down there until she has a good shot at getting
to die.
Oh, report.
Sir, 5 months ago, the portal from the Ark to Earth shut down without warning. A month later, he arrived.
He?
The Brute. Their leader. His name is Atriox.
Now remember that name. Remember that name, because this is important. He also betrayed the Covenant because the fact that they did some horrific things during this battle that led to the demise of him not trusting these individuals anymore. And he himself ended up going against the Covenant.
During the war, the Covenant used his clan as expendable muscle. Told them dying in battle would speed their holy journey.
See?
40 at a time, they carelessly sent them in. 40 to break the front lines. 40 to die for beliefs not their own. None ever returned.
So slowly, each of them are being sacrificed of these brutes to do their bidding of the Covenant. But one individual had enough. Saw exactly what his so-called brothers that they pronounce each other were going for, and he knew that it was death. He felt angered and upset that they were being used for something like that. So he did the unthinkable, what you're seeing right now.
Until he did. And so battle by battle, war by war, 39 brothers at a time, Atriox was born. With every victory, his legend and his hatred of the Covenant grew.
And that's when they got the mad.
Eventually, both were impossible to conceal. And they tried to banish him.
Try to banish.
And everything we know about the Covenant's 1,000-year history. Atriox was the first to defy the Covenant and survive. And his defiance inspired others.
You see? Bam.
Atriox and his Banished raided Covenant resources, cutting a swath across the galaxy, growing in strength with each attack.
So here's what went down. Across the other side of the Human and Covenant war, there was another war that was called the Banished. These banished individual species were also fighting the Covenant on the other side. And these individuals did a lot of horrific things. And while the Covenant was having victories against the humans, the Banished was the reverse. When the Covenant was fighting against the Banished, they were instead the ones using defenses and like little operation like you call them like strategic operation like offenses and their defenses, like a similar like offense defense system to prevent covenants from tearing down each of their not just home worlds but their own territories. So while the covenant was having victories on the other side of the galaxy, the covenant when facing the banished were having defeats and defeats after defeats. And here's the reason why.
Gathering killers and mercenaries to his side.
You hear that? So they're mercenaries that colored themselves to be like the Banish to show that their colors were not the same as the Covenant. And they themselves were fighting against an enemy that they were blind to the great journey and saw that they did not want anything a part of that. So the prophet gave the Covenant orders to keep these primitives from spreading to interfering with their plans and try to keep them like occupied, in other words, to try to get as many their forces. So they led an entire half of their battalion to try to buy time to prevent the Banish from crossing over and and interfering with their Human and Covenant war. So as that was going on, this was happening. That's why it's interesting to see what else was happening during the events of the what we're seeing.
The Covenant had two targets in those years.
You see?
Humanity and Atriox. They almost got us. But Atriox, they never came close.
There you go.
The whole damn Covenant couldn't contain him at the height of their power.
So why I showed this is because the humanity, they were so close to defeating, but Atriox, they can never got that close because of how powerful Atriox did with not just their entire mercenaries and the way that they were leading their entire battalion, but they decided to modify their vehicles and change their things with their brilliant, I don't know how they did it, but they usually brilliant scientists, a species, to modify their creation to make it even more powerful than the Covenant. And that's how they're able to continue destroying. Because you saw what all those scarabs look like. They looked entirely different than the ones you saw from the actual Covenant Armada. They were more powerful. That's how powerful they were. Extremely difficult opponent that they're up against. That's why the prophets, when you saw their Covenant attacking humanity, were not really that much. You only saw like 9 ships to 10 at least at max, because they were never able to get any more of that. And the reason for that, because most of them were being occupied by attacking the Banish on the other side of the galaxy. So that was happening as they were doing that, because they were occupied to try to prevent these individuals from ruining their plans. It was really hard for the Covenant during these years. That's what was going on during the beginning.
That's what you're up against.
So we don't have to watch any more of that. But that's exactly what this individual put it through. That the entire time of the whole thing was going down like that. So you could tell that very strong, difficult things were going down. So I wanted to show at least more things that happened before Halo Reach. I think the next one I want to show is I think it's called The Package. Let me see if I can put it on. This is a episode that happened before the events that unfolded in other planets, and this is when I think one individual called, you call her Dr. Halsey, was very young at this time, and I think she was captured or something. I'm not so sure how it went down, but let's go ahead and watch this one, because this was really early years.
The Covenant has captured a high-priority package. Spartans, it's your job to infiltrate enemy space and retrieve it. Mission window, 10 minutes. The target is equipped with a location beacon, but you'll have to get close to read it. It's a weak signal with a short radius. A local stellar magnetic field is preventing the Covenant fleet from making a slipspace jump. You'll be flying in with EVA booster frames. When you reach the Covenant fleet, find the signal, find the ship, find a way in, and grab that target. The Covenant doesn't appear to realize the full value of what they've acquired, and that's the way we want to keep it. Complete the extraction before they figure out what they've got. All right, Spartans. You have your orders. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Captain.
What is it, Master Chief?
What happens if we run out of time?
Then our only choice will be to annihilate the Covenant fleet, the package, and your entire team. Is that clear enough?
I understand.
There they go.
Spartan team, the moment we break stealth.
Commence operation. 5, 4,
3, 2, 1. Disable cloak. Booster frames. Launch.
Close, Master Chief.
Incoming. Optimize mobility. Plasma rounds.
Hey,
Scanning devices activated.
I've got a reading.
Are you sure?
No question. Back me up, I'm going in. Their shields are down. The signal's coming from that cruiser.
Hang on, Solomon. Wait for the chief.
No time. I'll take my chances.
All right, if we're gonna do this, let's make it fast.
A positive read from the first scan. Something's off.
Hurry, Solomon.
Gotcha. No. Kelly, it's a trap!
No.
They took the bait. 3 have perished. The rest are only a matter of time.
We must always show our superior strength. Anything less and they will exploit our weakness.
Weakness. You have faced these lowly creatures in battle while your battalion perished. That tells me only one thing. You have not the heart to die with honor.
Commander, 2 survivors detected.
Solomon.
Kelly, look!
I'm getting multiple readings.
They're decoys. They know what we came for.
How do we find the real signal?
They've already told us. What we want is in the heart of his fleet. The flagship.
Seraph formation, 2 o'clock.
Ignore them. Stay on target.
Damn.
4 enemies approaching.
They know. Will you run away once more? They will be here. I shall face them. You overestimate them. They cannot touch this ship. I pray that you are right.
Tight formation, now! Concentrate Gauss cannons on a single point.
Roger. Shields at maximum charge.
They're still with us. I'm hit!
I'll hold them back.
I'm losing it! Arthur!
Damn.
You gotta eject! I got your 6. You secure?
Give me the turret! Now I got your 6.
Let's get on with it.
Gauss cannon charge, 85%.
They make it.
They're advancing position.
91%.
There it is.
Launch all missiles. Gauss cannon, fire!
This thing's toast.
Then let them have it.
Looks like this is the right ship.
We got 3 minutes.
Let's sprint this. Don't fall behind.
Copy that.
Go!
Three units passing Sector 25.
Stop them! Seal all hatches.
Fred,
I got it.
The enemy is advancing.
No! Where is the Major?
Go! I got this! All right. The great journey ends here.
Fred!
focus on the mission. We get the target.
Commander, they're getting closer.
Getting closer, are they? Not for long.
Chief!
Break off the entire block!
But Commander, our brothers are...
Silence! Let them die with honor.
Go get her.
Kelly! Kelly.
She doesn't die. I already know this. See? Young Halsey years before the events. That was her in Crossel State.
Dr. Halsey.
Halsey.
John, it's you?
Yes, I'm here to take you back. Sleep well, Doctor?
No thanks to their driving, yes.
You seem to be in one piece.
Maybe your luck has rubbed off on me.
We make our own luck. But I'll always be there when you need me.
Don't make a girl a promise if you know you can't keep it. Still, thank you.
Sure. Dr. Halsey.
It's not a proper rescue until you get us out of here, right?
Agreed. We need to move fast.
First time they face against a human. First time.
John, wait.
We're out of time.
What? No!
We're clear of the magnetic interference. Stand by for slip space jump.
They're trapped in Delta Section. Separate the moment we jump.
But what of the Major and his group?
No matter. He is already shamed. His only path now is death. Or Arbiter. I had him! Amanda! You fool! 1,000 hells await you!
They're scuttling the ship.
And us with it. But we make our own luck, remember?
What are you suggesting?
What else? We improvise.
Doctor, we've got company.
Can't you do anything? Can't this bucket go any faster? What's happening?
Cutting it a little close, aren't we?
Fred.
Doctor, are you alright?
Yes, I'm fine.
These Covenant rigs fly like rocks. It took us a bit to get rolling.
Incoming! What?
Welcome back, Spartans.
The first one.
You really are lucky. You know that.
Not lucky enough. We lost 2 Spartans today. Solomon and Arthur. And that elite we encountered. He was strong. I have to be stronger.
We all have to be stronger.
We're slowly
Something
losing
tells
Sparta.
me this is just the beginning.
Okay. That was years before the events. Now I'm gonna place this one because this one was during the events of the Human and Covenant War, called Homecoming. I think this one is canon, but it shows a different story of individuals of the Spartans that are dying during the time. It's really a fascinating, and then we'll do one was a soldier story. And this will probably be that one, probably the last one at the end, because I think we're out of time. But I think all there is when it comes to the origins. We saw like from the beginning of each one, and of course the other ones that had its own treachery. So this is a new. This is the continuation of what's
In
going on.
2291, slip space technology makes space colonization a reality. In 30 years, mankind establishes the inner colonies in the heart of the Milky Way, and soon into the outer periphery. In the year 2525, the human race encounters an advanced alien alliance. This alliance called itself the Covenant. The Covenant decrees humanity an affront to their gods, and the human-Covenant war begins. Within a decade, the outer colonies are almost completely annihilated by the power of the Covenant. In the face of direct attacks on the inner colonies by Covenant forces, humanity's only remaining hope depends on a special unit of genetically augmented soldiers. These soldiers were known as the Spartan Twos.
They finally decide to give the order to pull out, and now this. Damn it, this just ain't my day. Mac, watch out! Here they come!
Ooh, it looks good. Those bugs. They're throwing like needlers at them.
Oh, damn it. It just ain't my day.
Ooh, that one got killed. Looks like a Spartan.
What the hell? Maybe this is my day. All right, men! Let's welcome our Chief Petty Officer with some backup! And stay down. How's Gamma 4?
Gamma 4 is gone.
And that means this planet is finished.
And it won't be the last, sir.
I have the main unit on the line.
Rescue team will be in accordance with the order to fully disengage. Dispatching a rescue craft. All active units respond immediately.
Team Gamma here, roger that. We are completely surrounded.
Copy that, Marine. We're dispatching a rescue ship to your location, but I'm afraid we can't exactly give you curbside service. Sending coordinates for extraction point. Looks like you and your men are going to have to make your own way to—
Wait a sec.
What?
I know that voice. Is that you?
Daisy. That's you, isn't it?
Ralph.
Knowing the stories. Like random stories.
I don't know. Anywhere but that place.
Yeah, I don't want to think about what they do to us if we did go back.
We're not gonna be your toys anymore!
She's right. We're sick of your training.
We're leaving, and you can't stop us!
What would our moms and dads think of us if they saw us?
It's been 7 years.
I wonder if they'd recognize us. Not because we've grown up, but because of what's been done to us. All of those years of training, all of those horrible surgeries and the augmentations.
But everything's changed now. And not just us. You really think you can go home?
It doesn't matter. I'm going. I have to. It's the only home that I have.
I guess tomorrow's goodbye then.
We won't be able to see each other anymore, will we?
Of the 5 escapees from the facility, only subject Joseph 122 has been captured. The search for the other 4 is a priority red directive. Repeat, the search for the other 4 is a priority red directive.
It's very, very interesting to see these random stories that unfolded.
Not again. I'm getting off this rock. And I'm not going home in a body bag either.
I'm gonna create a diversion. Keep low. You make a run for the extraction point.
Jesus, they're everywhere.
All the more reason for us to move out as soon as we see the extraction craft.
That sounds like a good idea to me. I'm gonna go find us a hog.
Remembers something. Music is infamous.
You dare slow down!
Heads up!
You okay down there?
They're here.
Notice any resemblance?
The secrecy of the Spartan 2 program could not be jeopardized. But the disappearance of 75 recruits for the program would have created some difficult questions.
But if the children never vanished, there would be no questions to ask, would there? The clone lives a life in your place. The life that was originally meant for you. Come back to the facility, 23. It is where you belong. It's home.
Sarge, are you all right?
I will be, as soon as we're out of here.
Look, I'll cover you. Go on ahead.
There's no way I'm
Just
gonna
go,
leave.
now!
Step on it!
Let's go.
Daisy! Chief! I'm coming! Stay right there!
There's no time. Go, Ralph! Get that ship out of here now!
Sometimes I have this dream. Always the same dream. I dream I'm strong. Stronger than anyone. Like you. Just like you are. Here, I want you to have this. But why me? I don't know, to be honest with you. Something tells me that I should. I want you to take it.
My clone. He was sick. I think I killed him.
Don't do this to yourself, Ralph. You did what you had to do. So did I.
Daisy?
Transport to base. Custody of Daisy 23 and Ralph 303 restored. Subjects ETA 1 hour. After making contact with their clones, the remaining 2 escapees used their small arms to commit suicide.
supposed to be Master Chief, but whoever made it, like the design kind of like went down a little bit.
This is Charlie 1. Sending new rendezvous coordinates. Prepare to disengage.
There's that story. Pretty sad story. I think the next one we're gonna put is really more sadder. It's not do with any Spartans. It's the events leading up to the Halo Reach situation. This will be the last story I'll show because I don't think there need any more. Unless you want to look it up on YouTube of other ones. This is the one that's really sadness.
It's funny.
Oh,
I
shoot.
never noticed how beautiful the moons are here.
Involves soldiers'
Think
lives.
anybody noticed?
Stay quiet. The biofilm's working, but you're still bleeding.
There's something I've always wanted to know. Your call sign. Ghost. What does it mean?
Stop talking. You've got to hold tight until the medevac gets here.
You finally have an excuse to show that you care. And... let me ask you something. Just one last thing. It won't hurt, I promise. What was I to you?
What do you mean? You're a soldier. A soldier with a promising future ahead of you. You're a soldier.
And you're a ghost, aren't you?
What?
Feelings pass right through you, don't they? So cold and unforgiving in every choice you made in battle. You're a soldier. I think that's what let us trust you.
Don't talk, save your strength.
I don't need it. I need you to be strong. Strong enough to do what you've never done in your life. Can you be strong enough to allow yourself to be... can you just be human?
Be human. What this one's called. Now that the events are unfolding, you know what it's leading to.
Damn it, man. What are you still doing here? Command has declared a full retreat.
We can't pull out. The civilians may be on their way out of here, but there's a corps of engineers still out there, and I'm not leaving them behind.
It ain't up to you. Cold protocol's been enacted. Let's move it. The shuttles. If this fighting keeps up, we're gonna be as good as dead. We gotta stick it out and pray they get us some evac. Let's go. Who's left behind?
What?
Answer me, soldier. What's the name of the group?
It's the Hades Corps. They're at Hangar 1030, and they say they're not leaving until they destroy the prototype of some weapons system.
The Demolition Squad. I should have known. Ghost.
If the
Cole protocol's been enacted. Why the hell are we stranded on the front line? We're pinned down here, and now the Sarge is missing. We're screwed.
Nah, we were sunk from the beginning.
What?
On his last assignment, our fearless leader let his entire platoon go down. They got wiped out in a single firefight. Sarge didn't even flinch.
Yeah, well, I guess that's why they call him the Ghost then, isn't it? And why the brass always decides to put him in charge of demolition jobs, because he's not even human! Come on, don't die on me! Come on!
I can't believe these sons of bitches left us behind!
This isn't it.
There you go.
Oh my god. It's the prototype suit. But who the hell's driving it?
Goes to Hades Core. Fall back immediately. Ignore the Covenant. I'll hold them off. Nobody's dying here.
You heard him. Let's go.
You idiot. He's not supposed to be testing that suit. He's supposed to destroy it.
Can you hear me, Sergeant? What do you think you're doing? Your orders are to destroy the suit and all related data. You are disobeying direct orders.
No, sir, I am following my orders.
Explain yourself.
I have destroyed all the data, and I'm using the time left on this suit to safely evac my people. I'm not leaving until every one of my men are safely off.
Not the plan. I am ordering you to stand down.
There's no other choice. The mission cannot be jeopardized. And I am still responsible for these Marines.
Wait,
Sergeant! Ghost, listen to me!
I lost my entire platoon. Every one of my men. And that's when it happened. That's when I truly became a ghost. Just a shadow. Surrounded by death. The suit has a staggered countdown. In order to trigger final detonation, the system requires a voice command. You designed it that way for a reason, didn't you? Just get my men off this planet. This is Ghost. Over and out.
There you go. Done action. There it goes.
What's the matter, Ghost? Why can't you move? I made up my mind that day. The night I let my platoon die. I looked up at those moons and something died inside me. A conscience is something that gets in the way. That's all a soul is. An obstacle. Something to overcome. I can't atone for failing to protect them.
Drop down complete. Voice command required. Speak the voice command exactly as displayed.
Damn.
Let me ask you something. Just one last thing. It won't hurt, I promise. What was I to you?
What do you mean? You're a soldier. A soldier with a promising future ahead of you. You're a soldier.
And you're a ghost, aren't you?
What?
Feelings pass right through you, don't they? So cold and unforgiving in every choice you made in battle. Pure soldier. I think that's what let us trust you so
Don't talk, save your strength.
I don't need it. I need you to be strong. Strong enough to do what you've never done in your life. Can you be strong enough to allow yourself to be? Can you just be human? If not for your sake, for all of us. If you would just allow yourself to feel something. Maybe you wouldn't be a ghost any longer.
It's over.
Voice command authorization.
That's the end of him.
Human. And for one last instant, I'm human again.
Destroyed.
Transmission from orbit around Algolis. Cole protocol enforced. All weapons prototypes and accompanying navigational databases eliminated. The soldier I previously recommended for military court-martial is... I rescind and redact that portion of my earlier report. That soldier is officially missing in action, lost during heavy combat on Algolis. He demonstrated honorable conduct not only as a Marine, but also as a human being. We're heading for rendezvous with the UNSC Heart of Midlothian. Over and out.
And that's the end. What I showed is most of the origins. Now you get the premise of the whole story genre from the beginning to the end and its current events. And of course, you saw the precursors, the forerunners, then you had the Covenant, the ancient humans, and the regular humans. And of course, you have new ones like the Banish, who all came together, including the AIs like Menic and Bias and Offensive Bias, to just see how all this formed came together, including the flood, how it went to the beginning to the fall, and now to the recent Halo that you see from Halo 1, how it's rising now. And we'll know more once the next Halo game comes out. We'll know more that comes through what happened next and lead to more, of course, as I always say it, the next chapter of the Halo franchise. So that's going to be it for this live stream. This was really, really awesome to actually enjoy witnessing each of these stories that were being played out, including how the Covenant... Now, I couldn't watch the entire Halo Legends. You want to watch that, you can see it on YouTube, including 4 Into Dawn. I wasn't able to play that either because of copyright. You can watch that, of course, on YouTube, or you can watch it on DVD. You have a choice. Though those who watch it on DVD, you probably have it more HD than the YouTube. YouTube's are like a little down quality. But movie, I could say from the DVD source, it's more brighter and more optimistic when it comes to its quality. Or the YouTube is a little bit downgraded quality if those who just want to see what's going on. So that's gonna be it for this. They can get some more watch stream. I'll see you another live stream from Zero Power Jimmy Pablo. That's about it, and bye bye.